we are back for round 2 of the same show that I just started a few minutes ago, but OBS, as you know, can be a little unpredictable. But here we are with Roundtable 22 to Terminator 6 Rise of the Globe Evidence featuring Gleem. And we're going to do a quick mic check again. Gleem, are you there?
Check 1, 3, 9, 12, 6, 4. There, 1.
You forgot 7.
No, that is not allowed.
Right.
Skip.
Okay, well, back up to where we were before. Quick rundown of the show format tonight. So tonight we're doing a roundtable format. So essentially you'll be doing your presentation. Everything you say in this presentation is entirely on your head. You'll be responsible for what you put out, and you'll be responsible for taking questions after the presentation has been done. Now, I know it's going to be a little controversial because you're actually going to be naming a few people and calling a few people out, so it should be interesting. Hold on to your hats, everybody. But I'm going to keep it to the format of the round table, and then afterwards we're going to round up with another show. We're going to do a chit-chat format. This time we're going to invite Gleem back, and anybody that wants to join the panel, perhaps they want to discuss anything that they might have seen in the presentation. Something might be there that they want to have a little chat with Gleem about, who knows. But some of the people, I'm actually going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Gleem, tell me when you're sharing your screen, and I'll get you ready to present.
Okay, let me just click on that. Start sharing. Okay. So, are we there?
We are there, so just bear with me whilst I transition you across. And it works. The button works. We have success. Right, I'm going to go on mute. The floor's entirely yours. Fill your boots, and I hope everybody enjoys it. See you all in a bit.
Okay, so just to introduce myself, for those that don't know me, my name is Gleem, and you'll catch me hanging around in the chats. I've been interested in the flat earth theory for nigh on 5 years, I'd say. Basically, the thing that got me into it was Rupert Sheldrake's band TED Talk, and he was mentioning on there the speed of light. I was looking up about the speed of light being a variable, and bang, come across the flat earth theory, and it intrigued me. And as a bystander, I've definitely had a look into a lot of flat earthers' arguments. Definitely can see validity in some of them, and definitely give flat earthers more of a benefit of the doubt as a globe earther would normally. I've seen enough to say that I cannot put my 100% faith in either model, just purely because of how science is, and we can get onto that later. But what I'd like to do is, I've had an experience in the past 3 years, let's say. I've been on probably 3 or 4 shows, and I've probably been called out and had hit pieces made on me about 5-6 times by various different globeheads. And core thing of it is I've come across lots and lots of globe earthers who are willing to lie and hide that they've lied, or not admit they lied, and still to this day won't admit that they've lied. Yet I think I've done beyond reasonable doubt to prove that they have lied or led someone up the garden path. Now, I've got to do one big massive shout out before I start any of this, and I've got to shout out Conspiracy Cats, because that one guy has the most respect out of all of the globe earthers, and I would say Simon Dan as well. Both of them can admit when they're wrong, and just holding that quality is at least 50% of your integrity and knowledge. And I do base a lot on integrity, because if it is a globe and you're confident that it's a globe, then there should be absolutely no reason to lie or deceive. It should be the truth stands. But in my experience, I've experienced a lot of people. I mean, just one in the chat that I took a snapshot of the other day was people were globe earthers were trying to tell me that Nature publication is not a mainstream peer review journal. And it just makes me laugh, some of the desperation that they have to go through. So what I wanted to do is I've got a list of about 10 globe earthers that I've experienced this with, and it's these are not people that I've basically pointed out a lie and never told them about it, and I've just waited for this moment that Ranty gives me, and then I'm having my 15 minutes of fame. It's more I've engaged with these for hours, and I've highlighted and I've showed them the evidence that I've found, and they just blatantly either block me, hide my comments, or delete me, or just ignore it and move on. So I just want to go through a couple to start with, and then I want 50% of this to highlight some people and what wrongs they've done, and to get some answer from one Glober to why you need to lie about this when it's blatant information out on the internet that you can find, which is official. Now, going straight into it, there's been a recent argument with George. Everybody knows who George is. He's a regular on Ranties. And possibly about 8 months ago, George did a video which he is hell-bent at the moment of destroying the electric universe. He reminds me of Hitler cross Skeletor. And seriously, 8 months ago, I said to him, that is not the electric universe model. If anyone knows Mr. Grimm, if anyone even knows the Thunderbolts or Wal Thornhill or Donald Scott, any of those, if you knew anything about the electric universe theory, if you'd looked into it for 10 minutes, you would understand that it is plasma theory. It is not basic, simple electrostatics between two spheres, metal spheres. What's the discharge, like what you see on Tesla's pictures and stuff. So it's been mentioned to George in several comments on this very video that he did. And there we go. It was well over a year ago. So May the 21st, 2018, I must have had some fun for about 6 months and skipped that. But either way, comes up to a head, and literally he cannot admit that he's used the wrong physics. He's used the wrong model. It should be low pressure gas discharge model, not simple electrostatics. Now, I've shown George this hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times, and it's basically the CEO and the secretary of the electric universe theory basically saying to another scientist who made exactly the same mistake that you're wrong to use the simple electrostatic model. Now, even in the face of this quote here, hopefully you can see it, it basically says, Donald Scott has replied to that Wal Thornhill has already referred Thompson, who is actually an astrophysicist, to low pressure gas discharge physics as being the appropriate model to use, not simple electrostatics. So George has basically used the wrong model to debunk the electric universe, and as opposed to doing a video like Conspiracy Cats has done, like Simon Dan has done, he instead flies up in the face and basically takes the higher stance and starts quizzing me on all sorts of different equations and stuff like this. Now, just to back this up as well, my profession is I'm a database programmer and a coder, a website coder, and a data analyst. My day job is a data analyst. I'm not a scientist. I'm not proclaiming to be a scientist. I'm not proclaiming to have qualifications coming out of my ears. But what I am is I'm a bystander looking at this nonsense, and even, I mean, you give the people the benefit of the doubt, and you correct their error. And sometimes, you can be arrogant enough. I've done it myself. You can be arrogant enough and say, no, I didn't make that mistake. But when it's highlighted by several different people and they give you valid reasons too, as has happened in George's comment section here, you can go to his video, which is dominant force in the universe is gravity, not the electric universe. So put it this way, he's completely embarrassed himself in my eyes, And I repeat the famous thing is, if it's a globe, what are you lying for? So to move on, because I just want to swiftly get through to these, through a few of these, is Greater Sapien. He started doing these comments, which are daily comments and whatnot. And in his one of his videos, he basically states that the Himawari is not a composite of multiple images. What it actually is a one-shot hit from a camera. So flat earthers can't say that it's anything to do with a CGI projection onto a globe or anything like that. And again, I put in his comment section and cited Himawari's own website, which actually shows you why it takes 10 minutes for it to actually make a whole picture. And it's because of exactly what he said it is, and it is. It's a composite. And it can take a second to actually load, and you can go onto this. If you just type in Google Himawari 8 Imager, it's the first link that comes up at the top. But if we just watch this, which is the actual concept of how it was put together in the first place and how they would do it, and also how on-the-spot emergency measures would be taken where they're monitoring other places. So if you can see the animation clear, it scans in flat strips exactly identical to the way your phone does a panorama. So just to further validate this, you can actually go onto their website and download all their data. And what you can actually do is you can, just like any on the NASA World View site, on a lot of the normal websites, you can get the basic CGI background, and you can basically remove all clouds. You can remove that layer or certain layers, and then you can also add a year's worth of clouds. So why is Greater Sapien not so Greater Sapien? Basically saying the complete opposite to what the facts are. The facts are, it is a composite. It's a sensor. Sensors don't work like cameras. It's remote sensing. Now, I'm just going to swiftly move through this as if I'm shooting down tin cans. God, I sound like Quantum Eraser, don't I? But anyway, Fight the Flat Earth. Fight the Flat Earth is the funniest of all of them. And he cracks me up because he's so confident about actually being proven wrong. And again, all of these just hide my comments and then block me from any future comments. So you can never point out their errors. But put it this way, Fight the Flat Earth done another series, which was basically, I don't know whether I can even pull him up. But Fight the Flat Earth done a series of like questions per day. And it was like, oh, he's live now. Nobody go there. Don't support him. He's a miser. Even the globe earthers are rejecting him. But what he done is he done a breakdown of the Michelson-Morley experiment. It's this one here. Explaining simple stuff to flirfs. The Michelson-Morley experiment. Now, he's quoted in there, and you can look it up yourself and listen to what he actually says. And he basically says, so the conclusion of the experiment was ether never existed because they never detected a fringe shift. Now, if you pull up the actual paper, the original paper, and I'll take a second to do this because if you pull up the original, it blatantly concludes that, number one, the ether is not like how Lorentz had described it originally. Okay, so there's violations of Lorentz's originals. Now, also, not only did they not remove ether from the system from the Michelson-Morley experiment, they detected an ether, what they assumed to be an ether. And if you look, it's literally on the... Where are we at? Okay, here. So displacement should have been... So we should have expected for a spinning Earth 0.4 fringe. The actual displacement was certainly less than a 20th part of this, and probably less than a 14th part. So what they're basically saying is, yes, it's very, very, very minor, and an actual objection to this is saying, no, they're not picking up ether, they're just picking up the natural error bar, the natural static background noise, which you can never get rid of. Now, either way, he's misrepresented the actual original paper. So if the Earth is flat, if the Earth is a globe, sorry, should I say, then why do you have to lie? I don't understand. I don't understand why the paper is there. This is on the American Institute of Physics. So the paper is blatantly there. And he actually says in there as well, it has nothing to do with the motion of the Earth. And I said, look, the actual title of it is On Relative Motion of the Earth and the Luminiferous Ether. Now, to further prove that the ether was never got rid of, Einstein in 1915, so that experiment was done in 1889. In 1915, or should I say, let me just make sure. Einstein was it was 1925. Let me look it up just to make sure, because I have had one too many. He done 1922. So this is 33 years later. Einstein's basically doing a lecture. Oh no, it was 1920 there, sorry. So he done the lecture in the University of Leiden where Lorentz was a professor. And he ends the whole thing of saying, recapitulating, we may say that according to the general theory of relativity, space is endowed with physical qualities. In this sense, therefore, there exists an ether. According to the general theory of relativity, space without ether is unthinkable, for in such space there not only would be no propagation of light, but there'd no possibility for existence for standards of space and time, measuring rods and clocks. So he supports ether. It was just his mathematics did not describe, it was the outline framework for ether. It's just that you didn't need to have anything in there if you've got the maths for the framework out there. So he read the idea, or he didn't need it. Although he liked it and thought space would be endowed, and there's later theories, the superfluid vacuum theory, which is helium-4 as space. But literally, it's ether. Ether has never left the system, put it that way. But that's a completely another thing. Space-time is ether, put it that way. Now, so that's one shot down for flat Earth, fight the flat Earth. He can't fight it. Seriously, he's not with lying about very basic fundamental experiments like that. And that is actually one of the core ones which flat Earth has actually got as a bonus, as a plus side to it, because it's one of the supporting evidences that Earth does not rotate, Earth does not move, stationary. Now, finally, just before I go into the next section, is Bob the Science Guy. Now, Bob the Science Guy, I had a run-in with him when he first started doing it. I don't know whether anybody remembers the Geronism on Monterey Bay with the two mirrors. What he did is he'd done a extensive debunk, so to say, by zooming in what he actually did is just search Google Images for a picture of the two chimney towers that were there. And what he actually found is a picture which showed a couple of buildings. Now, within those buildings, on the other side where the flat earthers were taking the footage from, they could not see those two buildings. So therefore, Bob concluded, flat earth done, because that is the curve. They've proved the curve. But on the grand scheme of things, I thought, no, wait there. What, that looks closer. Physically, it looked closer, because obviously they're quite far away, and the actual chimneys were probably taken up about a centimetre of the photo, let's say. And in Bob's picture, they were taking up the whole thing. So I thought, no, either way, I need to find out where this photo is from. So I managed to track all the land and actually go down in on Google Earth and basically find the exact spot where they'd taken it, and well, where they'd taken the photo from. And it turned out it was half the distance towards it, which obviously gives it that advantage anyway. But not only that, it was 3 meters above sea level in a car park. So Bob has just pulled off a random picture on the internet, and this was just after his little episode with Antonio, where he challenged Antonio and basically showed a horizon with a wonky spirit level. And Antonio refused to speak to him from there onwards. He was like, sort that out and redo that test properly this time. And he didn't. He just downloaded another picture from Google Earth or from Google Images, and just basically said, no, this guy's done it. And it was completely an incorrect test. So again, if it definitely is a globe and you're 100% sure of it, and you're analyzing this stuff, why are you intentionally, after I've told you and shown you all my calculations, I give him every single coordinate, and you can actually match up the photo perfectly on this swamp area here. And the flat earthers are well away, and they're the two buildings that they should have seen, so to say. But the actual line of sight for the flat earthers was over here, for one, coming over this way, and they wouldn't have been able to see it anyway, because there's bushes blocking there. And when I'd done the calculation of what they did see, it was exactly the same height as the building in the background, excluding the tilt of the roof. And it was 10 meters. That was 10 meters. That measured 10 meters on Google Earth. And I know it's inaccurate, but that measured 10 meters on Google Earth. And the road next to it was 10 meters above sea level. The grass verge that the flat earthers have taken was 10 meters exactly. It was identical, the same distance. And Bob still deleted my comments. Well, he actually said, we will leave it to my viewers to decide who is telling the truth here. And I go back there the next day, and I've got my secondary account, which is actually my Mac Earth account. Yeah. And I look on that, and he's removed my comment. And it's like, if it's a globe, why are you lying? These are the two buildings that he saw because they had a 3 meter advantage, and it was looking in a completely different line of sight. So now, Sean Hawkins, final one. I'm going to say that I have something up on Conspiracy Cats, but I love Conspiracy Cats so much that I don't want to mention him. But he basically uses the P and S waves in there, and he said anyone can show me this on a flat earth, or it's impossible. The word impossible got me, and I pulled up a San Diego document, a paper, basically saying that we exclusively start off all of our calculations based on the measurements on a flat earth, and then the final stage is then converting it to spherical coordinates. And then plus there was a Walcott I-97B, which was Walcott himself would only exclusively analyze the lithosphere, with a flat earth model. And he got tangible results. So regardless, either way, I don't want anything to happen to my poor Conspiracy Cats, because he's funny. I love him. But anyway, Sean Hawkins. Sean Hawkins is the bane of my life. I swear to God. He just pops off shots randomly from his imagination. Randomly, I was having a dispute with Lowry, I don't know whether everyone knows Lowry, uh, known as Leibrecher as well, or Leibrecher. But Lowry, we're having a dispute. I'm not even going to go into that. But put it this way, Sean Hawkins tags on the end of this comment, "Oh, Gleem, you're such an idiot. You had loads of flat Earth videos up that you'd made about flat Earth, and now you've removed them or taken them down." Now, I'm not even going to go through it because everybody knows that Sean Hawkins is like this anyway. And you can go and look at the videos and you'll see all my comments and all my evidence presented. Because on the first one, he did hide them all. But all of these here, if you follow through all these links, you don't need to, but it shows that I'm hidden on some accounts. And then when I've commented on another, he's hid them quickly. And then I've logged out and gone back in and they're all hidden. So it's either way, he's definitely running from the truth. But Sean basically said I deleted loads of flat earth videos, and I'm always adamant in the chat, even though people will definitely 100% mistake me for a flat earther. And I appreciate that because I am actually kind of defending their view. But at the end of the day, I do not believe 100% it is a flat earth. The same way I do not believe 100% it's a globe earth. So what actually happened is Lowry, in our dispute, because he got debunked straight away, and we can go into that another day, but Lowry decided to hunt me down on Facebook and sent me a inbox basically saying cute kids about my kids. Now, obviously, on I wasn't actually going in on or thinking about anything on that, but I've got a couple of videos of my kids on my YouTube channel, which I took down immediately as soon as I've got a globe earther in my inbox going cute kids. They've got a Hmong for a father, though. Basically, that's what he's, a disinformation agent. Oh, poor them. And I'm just like, wow, you don't know nothing about me, mate. You just randomly come in because I just debunked you using science. And either way, Sean then tags in on the end of this saying, no, they were flat earth videos. They weren't of your kids. So I screenshotted my internal. I don't care about, I haven't got anything sensitive or anything up on there apart from my kids. And screenshotted them all. He hid everything. Then again, randomly, a year later, he admits he was lying. I've got a screenshot of that. And he says, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, all right. And then a month later, he's back on the Drama Kingin. I've actually done the calculations for the angles of Polaris, and boo. Let me do this. I've done the calculations. I'm just going to show you a quick animation of something I've done in Excel, which was basically for conspiracy cats. And what I've done is I've basically taken the angle as 90 degrees zenith when you're at Polaris underneath it, directly underneath it. And then for every 69 miles you move away in one sole direction, then Polaris will appear to drop by 1 degree in your field of view. Now, this is not the field of view according to a globe. This is all based on a flat surface. So at the end of the day, in my eyes, yes, the globe Earth explains that phenomena of Polaris dropping when you're moving away from it. But also the flat Earth can explain that as well. And that's part of my sole reason for fighting the stance of a flat earther when globe earthers are saying, one, no, flat earth model cannot do anything. It can't predict anything. It's rubbish. And two, we've got a working model and it all works fine, which leads me snug into my final point, which I'm going to open up to all globe earthers, and I bet you're glad I'm finished now because I'm boring this out here. But there are no current working globe models. You heard me. There are no globe models that work. That is a scientific fact, a peer-reviewed fact. The only way how it does work is using magic, using something with the same level of evidence as God, which is dark energy and dark matter. Now, I've looked into, and I wouldn't say I'm a professor or I'm going to write a paper and win a Nobel Peace Prize, well, the peace hippie part probably, but a Nobel Prize in physics for resolving this or anything. But when I see lots of globe earthers giving a lot of flat earthers shit about you've not got a working model, and then you look into the actual model of the globe model and you find that 95% of the universe needs to be this invisible, undetectable, dark, godlike matter and energy. And I find it extremely hypocritical. So what I want is I've picked out five actual problems with the globe Earth model, which number one are peer reviewed, absolutely peer reviewed to death, and number two support or are supporting evidence for a flat Earth model to be considered. Whereas a lot of globe earthers' mental state is we should never consider the flat Earth. Flat Earth is absolute nonsense and always impossible. But yet when I always say to him, okay, cool, give me the opportunity to actually see your falsified evidence where you've actually got a globe model and you've got a flat model and you've compared them as to what flat earthers say the flat Earth model is and the globe Earth model as we all know it is. Okay, and then compare them and then come back and show me what doesn't work on the flat Earth that does work on a globe without there being assumptions all along the way. So put it this way, number one, the lies. If any of the globers are in the chat at the moment that want to approach their lies, I doubt Sapien and, well, I don't know, Bob might be in there. George is probably going to be in there, and quizmaster me on something to do with his degree level stuff, his trickery. But either way, I invite questions on either to explain why these people are lying or to explain why you're all lying thinking the globe model works when it doesn't. Unless you don't think it's lying, then just come in for a chat with a lion. Roar. You ready?
Is that you done?
Yeah. Obviously, I winged it. I've had that list forever and a day, but I've winged it. But that is, put it this way, you know me, Ranty. Everybody in the chat who knows my name knows that this is all I bang on about, and I never get any sensible answers. The only one true glober who I have the total utmost respect, who has probably taught me the most, is Barney. I don't know whether you come across Barney over on Sean G's channel. Barney is a top don, and I salute him. He's definitely knowledgeable in physics 100%, and he definitely has a clue about the globe model, and he understands the problems that I'm presenting today, albeit he does not think that they present the flat Earth, obviously.
Okay, so well, let's get into this. Okay, so Baldy Cats has apparently left a message. Okay, let me call him back. He seems to have logged out there. I think he clicked the wrong button. No worries. Yeah. It's the first time that's happened.
I hit enter and it must have been over the mouse or something like that, and I tapped it with my little finger.
No worries. Right. Oh, JQ, thank you very much for the super chats. Support your creators, people. We had a comment from Baldycats. I don't know if you've seen a comment on your channel. Apparently he's left a comment on your channel somewhere.
Yeah, no, he did.
Okay, do you want to address that?
Oh, no, he's bigging me up. He on my channel, I will say, by the way, and I will delete you if you do this, but I'm a musician for my hobby. My outward facing me, Gleem, I'm a reggae artist. yeah, and I do reggae music. So instead of coming here to promote a channel saying, yeah, I debunk globes or I debunk shapes, no, I debunk evil people with music.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So, the rumpus said vacuous drivel being dispensed here. That was from the rumpus.
I was going to add him to the list, but he is pathetic. Everyone knows that his tactic is when I've got something wrong, shout, 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 shout. Him and Brenda have definitely got some sort of gene in relation.
So I guess you had a lot of beef with these guys. I mean, this is obviously this is like you just expressing your whatever the arguments that you've had with these for the longest time, and you've not had a place to actually vent. Seems like you've done it right here.
Well, it's put it that way. Yeah, I do vent to them directly. I'm not one of these guys to go and talk to somebody else and say this, that, and the other. But I just don't understand it. I don't understand that mentality. We're in a debate where flat earthers are deemed, and this is just God's honest outsider looking in. Yeah, flat earthers are deemed as stupid idiots. You stupid bunch of, and this is a globe earther saying, you stupid bunch of idiots. How dare you challenge modern day science? We know what we're doing, and that is the attitude, and that in my eyes. Then I watch hours and hours of the likes of Leonard Susskind, of the likes of Eric Verlind, and all the latest talks on this dark matter and dark energy, and they're all the opposite. They're all, we are in a crisis mode. This dark matter and dark energy is doing our nutting. We cannot resolve it, and it gets mysterious and more mysterious and more mysterious as time goes on. And it's not, they don't reflect, and Rumpus is one of them. Me and Sean G specifically has invented a hashtag, it's just mass, for Rumpus, because Rumpus basically said, and I could have took a back seat and even disconnected, and the globe earthers were slating him. He said, we've resolved the dark matter issue, it's just mass. As if you can just hand wave dismiss it and say, yeah, it's just mass, even though it's missing mass 6 times the amount of mass that we ever detected ever, and gas in the universe, so it's not just mass. It's a massive, huge problem in cosmology, and you can't just brush it off and then quickly start talking about some flat earth problem. I want to talk, and I've had that opportunity recently with Barney on Sean G's channel, I will say that. Yeah, of talking to someone. Barney has actually done a gravity model in his physics university, in his degree. So he absolutely knows exactly what I'm suggesting or what I'm talking about. And again, he's completely opposed to what I'm suggesting that it would be. And my core thing is, even if it's just to falsify it, include flat earth in the options. Okay, it shouldn't be excluded just for the fact of we proved it, no need to, and just go off the basis of that. It's more, include it in there, because what it's genuinely telling us, and what even scientists of the globe are telling us, likes of Vera Rubin, I'll quote her in an interview. And sorry, just so you're aware, Vera Rubin was the core person. She was Richard Feynman's student, and the core person who documented all the systematic errors which formulated dark matter, which was the first paper, basically, even though it was discovered back in the 30s with Fritz Zwicky and Jan Hort. It was Vera Rubin and Kent Ford whose task it was to actually document hundreds and hundreds of these galaxy spins and basically find out an average medium of what the error is. Yeah, so she basically said in an interview for The Lonely Hearts of the Cosmos, the story of the scientific quest of the secrets of the universe, she said, I personally don't believe it's uniform and the same everywhere. That's like saying the Earth is flat. Okay? And that is the leading person, and of course you can take that as a flippant comment, of yeah. Okay, you can take that as a flippant comment of yeah, she was saying it's ridiculous. The data that we're showing is ridiculous, or it's ridiculous how our theories are failing.
Okay,
And
so I
yeah,
got there was just a couple of questions that
sure.
I wanted to ask you. So we had a question. Is where's it gone now? Is air part of the atmosphere from Oxbow Spirit?
Is air part of the atmosphere? Air's a constitute of the atmosphere. Atmosphere is the explanation of the area. The air is within it.
Okay, so that was obviously aimed at the rumpus. And from Gem Panda, actually, similar to what you was just talking about there, but Gleem, how many of the reputed sources you are citing believe that the Earth is flat as a result of their confusion over dark matter?
And this is a common one as well. This is a common one. I've actually come up face to face with Gem Panda, and it it was funny. He basically twisted it to. It was very, very controversial when Vera Rubin come out with her paper, because she just debunked Kepler's laws, Einstein's gravity, Newton's laws of motion, and Newton's gravity, all in one document, basically. And you cannot say debunked. Yeah, obviously in the science community, they're not going to automatically go, well, the data is saying it's flat, so it must be flat then, because you'd immediately get dismissed. You would lose your job straight away. Everybody knows that. It's a ridiculous idea now to think that scientists would ever suggest it would be a flat Earth, because it would go against the whole system. And the paradigm shift would be too enormous, and science would have to hold up their hands and say, wish it, we got it wrong. And it's too much. It's too much. No one in their right mind would do it. However, these clues are left there. If she's basically saying the raw data that we're looking at is that resembles a flat Earth, then you look into that, don't you? No. What you do is you oppose the whole scientific method of the standard of, we're going to analyze nature, we're going to document nature, and then we're going to create theories and laws from these documented measurements that we've got, and then we'll create systems so we know that everyone can use the same sort of system as a formal thing. Instead, what they've gone now is they've said, nah, wait there, nature, you're wrong. Our theories of relativity and Newton's laws and Kepler's laws, they're all perfectly fine. It's nature. She's hiding all of this dark stuff, this dark matter, and she's hiding all of this dark energy as well, which is exactly the same as saying God did it. It is nothing short of that. Lawrence Krauss admits that. All of them know it. All of them know it.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I need to address in chat. The first one being, George, I will be doing a hangout after this show. So probably 15 minutes when this rounds up, I'll do a chit chat, and you're more than welcome to join there, where Gleem will be waiting for you to challenge him. So hold your horses on that. But Bob Nodell from for a $5 super chat, stopping traffic in my Rasta hat. He subpoenas Bob to my FE court to prove quantum mechanics is bullshit and to show your proof of ether. So whether or not Bob takes that up, I don't know, but I thought I would say it as it came out. From Lottie, ask Gleem if he thinks it's acceptable not to shout him out during a presentation. And from Baldy Cats, from Baldy
Shout
Cats.
out Lottie.
Yeah.
I love Lottie. Funny.
So from Baldy Cats, can you ask Gleem if he agrees with the Rayleigh criterion explanation that I myself have given for things vanishing from the bottom up?
See, there are two explanations, okay, and both of them are in effect. One is the limited distance that you can see of the floor because of your apparent rising floor and your limit of the eye anyway, your visual acuity. Okay, so that is 0.02 degrees. Everyone understands that. Now, the Rayleigh criterion comes into play is where you have an object which is lower than your field of eye, or taller, should I say, than your field of eye. Therefore, as compression goes, you will see a tip of, let's say, a slither of one of the pixels, and the other pixels still full 1 second, and then as it's traveling away, you will then see none of it. Whereas the actual mast, let's say, which is that slither inside, is the top of the ship. So it does contribute to it, but the actual formula you need is more relating to the topology. And this is a common misunderstanding with globe earthers, is that they think they can just take the perspective data collection. Because I'm a data analyst, all my terminology comes from the techie world, the software world. Whereas, and people in science who have science qualifications pick me up on the chat, but I don't care. In the data collection model, where you're taking a photo, you suffer from perspective distortions, things getting smaller. Okay? Now, in all globe earthers do is, everyone knows, they take it straight out of that and put it into geometric view. Now, you lose all real life perspective from that, and you are not accounting for that. So you've got to reverse engineer that calculations wise, and the formula that I've discovered, I think, which I think the likes of Life is Short. Yeah, he agreed. Well, put it this way, I dropped my jaw when he was mentioning it in Nathan's chat about a year ago, when he first brought out that 3-hour video. Yeah. And it was before I'd even seen the 3-hour video, and I was banging on about it for a couple of weeks, saying this is my formula that I've found out through doing bits in Excel. And the actual formula is the apparent horizon line, basically the limit of your view, is your height in whatever unit you want to come back out in, divided by the tangent of your angular limit, angular diameter limit, your visual acuity limit, and that has to be in rad. So if you convert into degrees, you've got to convert into rad, which is 0.00003 or something. So either way, that's how you work out where that line is, and everything from your toe to that line, it appears to rise up as the sky appears to drop down. And this was the whole thing about Polaris, and this hopefully will explain a lot of things. And I don't know whether I'm going off on an absolute tangent, because I've just been given. Do you mind me sharing screen again, Ranty?
Not a problem, no.
And it was this is the main thing with Sean Hawkins. Sean Hawkins. But by the way, I want everyone to actually go and give him views, because you see Sean Hawkins made an actual Polaris model, which is like a convertible. Oh mate, just thinking of it and visualizing it in my brain makes me chuckle. But Sean Hawkins has done this cardboard model or wooden model with dowling rod, pointing and representing perspective view on a flat Earth. And obviously, when you put it all down, the ends of the dowling rod all point to different lots of. So for every degree dropping down, there's a different location for where Polaris is. And as I explained earlier, it's as you move away, it drops in your perspective by 1 degree every 69 miles you travel. Now, I showed him this picture in the same way, and if you see, the plane is going off into the horizon. Now, everybody knows, and I'm sure people will all know, that that plane is traveling at the same altitude. Okay, that is just moving away from you and dropping to the horizon in your apparent perspective. Nobody accounts for this mass, for this droppage. Now, if you chose Sean Hawkins' methodology, you would say this trail now represents 1,000 different planes. There must be 1,000 different planes, because he was saying there must be 90 different Polarises or infinite Polarises, because they're all in different locations when you move away. But obviously, you just reverse this picture where you're moving away from the stationary object, being Polaris, at a one certain altitude, and as you get closer, it rises up and goes to above you. And that's the whole concept that a lot of globe earthers cannot wrap their heads around. And there is mathematics to convert from the perspective view into the orthographic view. And as a citation, I love citing and finding something, and people can call it cherry pick, I don't care, but I love citing something that agrees with me from a university. So if I bring up the University of Illinois, they've got perspective and orthographic views. And it says, in the perspective view, the default, objects which are far away are smaller than those nearby. In the orthographic view, all objects appear the same scale. Since some prefer one over the other, both options are available. Perspective viewpoints give you more information about depth and are often easier to view because you use perspective views in real life. Orthographic viewpoints make it much easier to compare two parts of a molecule. They're talking about molecules in this science, obviously, but same concept, as there is no question about how the viewpoint may affect the perception of distance. Now, if you understand, all of these viewings are distorted with this exact same distortion that you need to reverse engineer in order to get the geometric shape. But as Nathan says, if everyone's aware, everyone's sick and tired of this, you're not accounting for it. You're just basically bastardizing it and just treating that as Earth curvature. And just this one picture shows alone. And this is what was previously thought as lens compression, but it isn't. It's perspective compression, distance compression. If you can see, the background is appearing to be further and nearer, depending on the aperture. And the boy's face appears to be more circular and more flatter, depending on how far you are away and how much zoom you use. That is the basics of it. So you have to reverse engineer this. You have to understand what is the optical taking in device. And then you've got to use the maths to reverse engineer all the perspective view, the actual apparent topology. And me, myself, I've put together a big old list of stuff that you need to account for, whereas globe earthers are just, no, it's just one thing we need to account for, and that's angular diameter. And you've got that distance perspective compression to reverse engineer. You've got lens distortion, which I've caught Alk out on, but he's not actually worth my time because he's in denial. He thinks GoPro fisheyes are actually the curve of the Earth because GoPros do not actually bend anything until they move. Anyway, so you've got obviously the angle of light. You've got obviously another thing which I keep putting across, which is you know your mirror band, Ranty. You know your absolute beautiful 3-layer one.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, all that mirroring section, in my eyes, is the critical angle of light, which just so happens to be from 89.98 to 90 degrees exactly. So it's the last 0.02 degrees of the angle of light where you can see. Now you can, there's an experiment at home you can do this in. Either get a bucket of water or a glass of water, doesn't matter. Fill it not even right to the top, but near to the top. And you look at it from near on 90 degrees. So you're seeing the flat line of the water directly as a line, and then just slightly tip your head up and you'll see that the glass of water's surface is mirroring your ceiling. So that's the critical angle of light. Obviously, there's more involved when you see it on roads with refraction involved as well. But that is the fundamental first basis. And obviously, we all know that if there was no boats there in your photos, they would take that, or no background as well, they would take that first strip of line as that's where the curve of the Earth stops.
And it would also be mirroring the sky.
That's it. And everyone knows the floating boat illusion is real. It doesn't happen on everyone, I will say, because you must have seen theodolite ones, which I don't think it was Soundly, it was someone else. It must have been Jesse or someone like that, who went the other side of the Pontchartrain Bridge.
I've seen some.
Yeah, and he caught the hotel, and the hotel was hidden by the curve. Now you could see that there was a very thin band of the mirroring, which I still reckon was the 0.02 degrees, because he was zoomed out pretty much. Yeah, but the 0.02 degrees, what a lot of globe earthers forget to realize, and you are one of the main men who point this out, is that you can have a 1 meter, let's say a 2 meter hill, or no, sorry, it's got to be a 1 meter hill. If you're 2 meters, let's say, a 1 meter hill, 100 meters in the distance, will block something, or sorry, it'd have to be more near on the horizon. So if you're a 6 foot person, the horizon's about 3.25 miles or 3.17 miles. So if you had something at 3 miles, which was 1 meter, something at 6 miles that is half a meter would be blocked by that 1 meter, because the angular size would be the same. And you wouldn't be able to see behind, because that blocks it. And that's what they take as blockage. That's what they take as the curve, how it disappears over Earth. It's basically getting so far away that the wave that, I mean, you've just shown it yesterday on that Jeranism one, where the actual wave that Wolfie has in front of his lighthouse one is 3 meters. And I've done the basic calculations of what would need to be covered there, and it worked out about 3 meters closer to you would block the same amount as he's showing. And he flipped his lid. He just literally, I goes, just show me the account that you've made for this. You've got to have made some sort of account for a tide, because there I looked up in Perth, and they've got obviously like a surf watch, and surfer zone. Is today's surf going to be good? And what's the average wave height? 3 meters, exactly in between that place. So it's like, I'm like, show me at least something that you've done, that you've calculated these. And he was like, show me a flight plan. I goes, no, Wolfie, we're not on about flight plans. We're on about your account for something that could genuinely block it, because this is being honest. And then we got onto, I goes, okay, well, let's go on to the flight plans. And I showed him something to say a scientist has basically done, seeing the curve. And obviously he's confirming a globe. So he's saying you can see curve at a certain distance. But in the document, he clearly states that from a plane, there is no way to see the hard horizon, because you're above the clouds.
Well, LBB Store agrees with you. Great presentation! Exclamation mark, globe over, with a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Let's see. Gem Panda still wants proof about this citations, and whether anybody that you've cited has become a flat earther, essentially.
No, they wouldn't be. Why would they be? They'd lose their career.
Yeah, he mentioned that too. So,
Why in the hell would any scientist come forth and say, oh yeah, I actually do believe this flat earth? Put it this way, there is 20% of physicists who believe in the many worlds theory, which is completely untestable, unfalsifiable, pseudoscience, and it's maths, 100% theoretical maths, based on string theory and about 38 dimensions. Seriously, that is what they would prefer to go towards, a holographic universe, which every decision every human being makes, a new universe pops up into existence, billions every millisecond. They would rather go that route than go, it's a flat earth and we got it all wrong. Because the humility of that is immense. And that is my exact theme of this whole thing. Everyone is too scared to say, I'm thick. And we all are. We all are. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Professor Phil Bell. I put him in his place recently. I don't care if he's a guy that basically launches satellites for ISRO, the Indian Space Agency. And I schooled him, literally on the geography of Earth. I schooled him. And I don't care who you are. The truth is the truth. And if you're here to blag and run your mouth off and basically say, oh yeah, well, put it this way. Here's one. Do we trust the scientist doing the experiment, or do we trust the data that their experiment beholds? Because if we're saying we must trust everything that the scientist says, because this is Jem Panda's follow-up question. Well, if no one believes in the flat Earth, then obviously then we it's not scientifically proven. It's stupid to even suggest that. No, at the end of the day, if scientists have suggested that the data is suggesting that, but they'd lose their career because they come out and say, yeah, it could be a flat Earth, instead let's make up some matter, then at the end of the day, it's just lunacy to think that you must believe all that the scientist believes because their experiment proves something otherwise. If that's the case, all you globers must be religious because Newton believed in God.
Okay, we have an interesting question. It's the same question that Jem Panda asked before, and I kind of mixed a couple of things up with it, but essentially I'll read it in its entirety. Gleem, should we ignore the reputed sources you cited, since you just told us they are lying to keep their jobs? So they're able to lie on the one hand to keep the jobs, but does that mean that they're actually lying about their actual evidence that you're bringing forth?
Perfect question. Absolute perfect question. And it led me to, I did drop a little hint of it earlier, and I said I'll explain this later. And this is how I see it. And this is how, oddly enough, physics does see a lot of things. And you'll hear Richard Feynman talk about exactly the same thing. And what I genuinely believe is that there's a point in the scientific system where there needed to be a paradigm shift and a control shift. Even though the church already had power, the church wanted to depower itself in as much as remove God from the equation. So people will not rebel against them. And then basically, in my mind, the priests became the scientists, even though they already were. We all know most of them were Jesuit Catholic priests. But either way, both models are built from the same observed reality, meaning that the globe model was built by recording nature, by recording her down. Right, that star comes over this, that's that. And we all know that it's taken years to refine. The sun got pushed out, oh, that don't work. Telescopes got better, oh yeah, now we can see that, okay, yeah. We can use this maths, and the maths that we've worked out from all this spinning balls, we can now actually predict that there is a planet there, and oh yeah, we can discover it later when we've got better technology. So all of this going on with designing a model, which is exactly what has been done. There's been 400 years designing the globe Earth model to fit and match observed reality. And that's what it is. The globe model works because it matches observed reality. It's based on that. So of course you're not going to go, right, why is that, or is that star different, or why is that out of place? It isn't. The globe has been designed on that observation. Now, on the same hand, so was the flat Earth. We're still working, or they're still working. Back in the days, the Greeks, they were still working off the same observations, and they were just applying it to a different model, a different structure. And what happened in the 1400s, I genuinely think, is they said, forget this flat Earth stuff. Yeah, even though they knew it was a globe anyway, we're going to now concentrate on forwarding the globe theory and the heliocentric theory, and then they figured out the whole solar system. Then hits the 1930s, telescopes got even better and we could see outside of the solar system and found that these little blobs are actually full universes. And that's where the problem started. All of the theories that the globe model are based on, Kepler's laws, Newton's, Einstein's, all fail at long distances. And I always give this analogy. I always say to everyone, would you accept if a flat earther come up to you and said, right, I've used my 1 meter ruler and I've gone round every square meter of Earth. I'm sounding like five flat
You are actually. Yeah. Your voice changed then. I was like, well, who's taking over Gleem?
Yeah, but going around every square meter of Earth and measured it net flat. Yeah, so I didn't measure any curvature and I used a 1 meter ruler. And a globe earther would obviously, I mean, flat earthers would probably, but a globe earther would probably go, you're an idiot. That's too small of a measure. You need a longer distance in order to find that it would be, you'd find your error and there is a curvature there. Yeah, that's what they would say. You need a 5 mile ruler or a 10 mile ruler, and then you'll see the big drop right at the end, at the other side. And literally on the same hand, you can flip that and say, a globe earther says, yeah, gravity is real. We know it works. We can test it in the solar system. It works perfectly fine. Yeah, but then a flat earther can come equally in and say, well, wait there. Gravity, when tested at long distances, you need long distances, remember, it fails. It doesn't work. And you need 95% of your model now to be dark invisible stuff to make it match observed reality again. And that's the thing. It's all about observed reality. The observation stays the same. So anyone that says, flat earth model doesn't work. No, the observation is there. It's just then related or transformed onto a flat earth model.
Okay, so we've got three questions. So I think I'm going to ask the last question first because it's related to what you've just been talking about. So does Gleem believe we have pictured distant galaxies?
This is the thing. The data could be, which is not an option, remember, because we could be saying that the whole of science is wrong, and astronomy and cosmology, and the whole thing would be collapsed or complete paradigm shift. But the data could equally be resolved, and I haven't done the actual physical calculations on all of these galaxies, so caveat, Ranty's view does not represent this view, because I'm just winging it and saying that, of course, the logic of it is that the whole reason for the galaxy rotation curve problem, or dark matter, is because these galaxies are spinning too fast and too together. What they should be doing is flying apart. Yeah, all the matter should be scattering off. But it can be equally resolved if you basically shrink the galaxies and bring them closer in. And even using, let's say, the theory that we've calculated of gravity, and I would get on to changing its concept to an electrostatic nature, but even including the theory of gravity, that would then make gravity work without invoking this magical dark stuff. But of course, that would then bring it right in, and too far in to be a small and local universe. So that's the whole reason they have to pad it all back out to say, oh, wait there, the data is saying it's a flat Earth, but we need to pad it all back out now to match a globe, or how a globe would see it.
Okay, right. Well, I've got 3 more questions to ask, so then I'm going to wrap this one up, and we'll start a new hangout where we actually do the chit chat show. So stay tuned, everyone. When this finishes, probably in about 15 minutes, I'll be uploading a new hangout where we'll be inviting George in, etc. Maybe even a few of the other people that have been called out this evening. So let's get these questions out of the way first. So the first one. Right, okay, so Gleem, why is it hotter at the equator than the poles?
See, on a globe, it would be because of the tilt of Earth. On a flat Earth model, the explanation would be because the sun is further.
Okay, so from Ragnar Stefan Holladson, what continent is highest from the centre of Earth?
If you're talking net continent, The highest continent on Earth is Antarctica.
Okay, and lastly, final question. LBB Story asked this a long time ago. Which curvature calculator used to compare the results to photographs in the past years by Globers actually take into account the optics of our eyeballs?
Okay, that's a very, very, very good point, LBB Store. Shout out and salute. Seriously, that one I've brought up with Walter Bisling himself and directly spoke to him on one of Sly Sparkane's videos. I've got some screenshots up here. But literally, I've dabbled in 3D software, 3D modeling and 3D software since I was 17, a kid. I was into game making more back then. And I'd use Poser, 3ds Max. I'd used a lot, and in recent years, becoming a coder and getting more involved in the past, let's say 10, 15 years, I've also been streamlined into looking at Unity and looking at Unreal Engine, and I basically downloaded SketchUp because of Tommy Gavold, whatever his name is, gone involved. But literally, I have some experience in 3D modeling, and I know that there is a function in there which I've seen Steve Torrance also use, and he actually shows you him using it. If you look up Steve Torrance Flat Earth Star Trails Resolved video, he shows you it's literally a tick box. And what it is you can go onto any weather report on timeanddate.com, and you will see a column in there called, I'm still screen sharing, aren't I?
Yes, I can place you on.
Yeah. Let me go to London Blad. Let me go to London Blad. Time and date, London weather. Okay, so you go on any place wherever you are in the world, and you'll get this little thing called a visibility. Okay, and this depends, obviously, this is the calculated figure of the distance that you can see into the foreground before the atmosphere, the density, takes over and skews you. Yeah, so if everyone knows, if it's completely foggy and you're in like a movie scene from, what was it called? Was it called The Fog? I think it was. The fog, green, yeah. Fog. Yeah. So if you imagine fog at the end of the road, I'm sure everyone's experienced that, and your horizon line then is severely close to your feet, and you can barely see further than 10-20 meters down the road. Yeah, and obviously it extends as soon as you're walking down the road. But this is the visibility, but on a thinner basis, less dense basis, where it's spread out. Now, I highlighted this. If anyone's seen Walter Bisling's comparisons where he does flat Earth one side, globe Earth the other side, and then literally laughs, I think it was either one of Rumpus's or Miles Davis's, or it may have even been Soundly's Pontchartrain one. Not the pylons, the actual bridge. And what he's done is he's put it, and you can see that the flat Earth completely looks out of kilt to the photo, because the horizon line is 2/3 of the way up the photo. Now, the globe Earth represents it perfectly fine, obviously, that's cool. But in the 3D world, there's this thing called 3D clipping. In the 3D modeling world, it's called 3D plane clipping, and you use it mainly to save on memory. So you don't draw out more of the map in front of you, you shrink it down, and then that saves on your memory because you're not drawing anything in the distance. But in this case, this is exactly what the flat Earth visibility, and this is environmental based, this is not based on your eye, LBB Store, but exactly that. In these programs, you can design everything not to completely match reality, but you can account for these things. And these globe earthers that are designing these things in the 3D models are not on purpose, because they know it doesn't do them any good to represent it in its real light, which would show it as the photo is showing it.
Cool stuff. Well, do you want to wrap up? Do you want to have a couple of minutes just to tell people where they can find you, or if you've got anybody you want to sort of like give a shout out to or anything, or even talk about your presentation for the next couple of minutes, and then we'll round up.
Yeah, no, I want to shout out everybody who's out there looking for truth. That's the main thing. I put it this way: my care in this whole scene has been less about shape and more about people's attitudes. And I find it fascinating. I've been managers of call centres with 400 people in there, and I've had to deal with staff problems and stuff like that. And it's crazy how humans are, and we're all idiots. Seriously, I admit I'm an idiot. I will get stuff wrong, but what I expect at a minimum is for someone to present me with some cited science backup saying, no, you need to change your understanding. Yeah, because this is actual fact, and as long as it stands, yeah, and it's obviously the cherry picking allegation, oh, you'll believe this but not this and that, whatever, but don't just tell me I'm wrong, show me I'm wrong. Yeah, cite science, because I've done with what I'm saying here, and those problems that I want to talk about with a globe earther who's actually got a clue. Those problems are basically core evidence for a flat earth. And until, put it this way, I would not mind, and I know flat earthers may cringe when I say this, but I would not mind helping a globe earther, okay, design a proper flat earth model. Yeah, I mean, in my life's music, but I'd love to help a glober design a proper flat earth model the way the flat earthers say it is, not the way globe earth think it is. And then if they match, cool. But if one of them proves the other wrong, then even cooler, because we get some sort of resolution. Now, it doesn't say that's the be all and end all, that is the ultimate proof, but it would be at least some formal evidence, some fair evidence. And I've never seen it in this scene. 5 years, never seen that.
Good stuff. So is that your call out for anybody to assist you with that? Can they tell you where you can find you? Do you have an email or your Skype name or anything like that?
No, either way, the one person that was getting there that we did actually start doing some stuff on was Dean. You know Dean from Jose's?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, shout out Jose if he's in the chat anyway. Yeah, I've got to shout him out. And Riley.
That's let's just say it properly. That's Jose J. Gonzalez, and he hosts a flat Earth debate discussion. And when he said Riley, we're talking about Sleeping Warrior there.
Yeah, that's it. Sleeping Warrior. Big up Nathan. Big up all the crews. Put it this way: to have the discussion is better to not ignore it. It's better to have the discussion than to ignore it. So even talking about flat Earth brings to light a lot of what we don't know. Whether it is a globe or not, it doesn't matter, but I'd be happy to look seriously at a fair comparison rather than all this. Yeah, let's take it into orthographic view and remove all accounts for exactly what you say is the curve. It's funny.
Okay, right, listen, I'm gonna wrap this one up, and in less than half an hour, so I'm going to schedule it for midnight, so wherever you are in the world, on the hour I'll be going live again, so I'm going to be doing a chit chat show, so we will have Gleem will be back, Sleeping Warrior will be in the chat. I'm also going to be getting in George Netanyahu, who's one of the gentlemen that Gleem kindly decided to bring into his presentation this evening, and probably a few other people. So I imagine that some of the stuff that was spoken about this evening will get brought up again. I'm sure if there's any questions from the chat as well, people will be keeping an eye on that too and may want to address them in the chit chat format. As you know, chit chat format, anything goes, so stay tuned. And what we're talking about, 28 minutes from now. So 28 minutes from now.
One final thing there, Renty. Can
Yep.
I just say, as I say, I don't promote my channel for anything to do with flat Earth or globe Earth, but I do promote my channel for music. If anyone's into reggae, go and have a listen to Gleem Royal Bloodline. It's my album. It was launched a couple of months back, and it's roots reggae. And if anyone's into that, you'll love it. Go and either stream it on Spotify or it's everywhere. It's literally Play Store everywhere. that would do me better than coming over to my YouTube and just giving me 0.0000001p.
Yeah, it doesn't. YouTube is ridiculous. But anyway, I'll find the link and I'll spam it in the chit chat show. So if you, and I'll also put it in the description after this video's finished uploading. So yeah, 27 minutes from now, guys. See you all back on the next one. It'll be the chit chat. Thanks, Gleem, for showing up, and thanks all the people who were in. We had over 150 watching at one time, so it's excellent. Thank you for the super chats as well, everybody that gave us super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And as for me, that'll do me for now, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Cool.